Ron, welcome. If you're new to this channel, let me introduce myself. My name is Logan. This is Timeless Personal Growth and Development. And just so you guys are aware of the content that I talk about in this channel, I talk about fitness, I talk about positive mindset, I talk about productivity, I talk about the relationships between men and women, relationships between children, parenting, and friendships, and how to succeed and have a better productive life. So let's get started. And today we're talking about how to move on from broken friendships and relationships. As human beings, I've done it too. It's happened to me. We have relationships and friendships that come and go. Sometimes those relationships and friendships that come and go, sometimes we move on quickly for them. It happens. And we're not that affected by it. But sometimes, depending on who you are, depending what the dynamic of that friendship relationship was, and that connection that you had with that person, it can destroy you. And it can really, really prevent you from being productive and prevent you from being successful and to move on and move forward with your life. So how do you move on from that? Well, you got to think. It's a time to look deep inside you and reflect. What did that relationship mean to you? What was it giving to you? Was it adding value into your life? Because if a friendship ended or a relationship ended, you always got to take into account there's a reason why it ended. There's always a reason why it ended. You got to look for that reason. After you look for that reason, think about it. Is your life better with that person in it? Or is your life more stress-free, less stressful with that person not in it anymore? Depends how you look at it. With that person's absence leaving a big, giant, gaping hole of darkness in your life, or is it leaving a little bit of relaxation and peace? Because sometimes we get hooked on and very obsessed about a relationship or a friendship that failed in the past. And rejection will always breed obsession. So if you're the person that got rejected in the friendship or the relationship for whatever reason, and whatever, you can't contact that person or they haven't given you closure, you got to look at how your emotions, your identity is tied into an idea of closure. That person may not be giving you that closure, so you got to ask yourself, what are you going to do? Are you going to allow that lack of closure to destroy your life and to prevent it from move on? Or are you going to move forward with it? Because you're in control. Because when you're allowing someone else not to give you closure and you're not able to move on from that, you're giving that other person too much power. They don't deserve that kind of power over your life and your own happiness. They're not in your life anymore. You have no contact anymore, but for whatever reason, you feel your life is destroyed from it and you can't move on past it. You can't form other healthy bonds with other people because you're afraid it's going to be a common trend and a common pattern when you build other relationships with other people and other friendships. Like, oh, well, these friendships just got destroyed for whatever reason. Well, that's the common trend. It always happens to me. Okay. Maybe it does always happen to you. Maybe you're the type of person like friendships keep falling apart, relationships keep falling apart, but you got to ask yourself why. Because at the end of the day, you're the common denominator in that situation. It's happening to you. Oh, it always happens to me. People always reject me. People always walk out of my life. That just happens. That's a defeatist mindset. That's a victim mindset. So what are you going to do about that? You're going to allow it to keep happening, or you're going to take the time, self-reflect, and think about why and look at your own behavior. Because it could be something about you and your own behavior that's causing you to push other people away. And it's happened to me before. Usually, mostly, I was always on the side of I had to push whoever, whatever friendship, whatever relationship away because I wasn't good at setting those boundaries. That was my problem. I wasn't very good at setting boundaries, so I would allow people to come into my world, come into my life, and take advantage of me. So I need to get much better at setting those boundaries. And I've reached a point where if someone creates too many problems and too much stress in my life and not adding enough value, I'm okay with this, like cutting them loose at this point. I'm okay with it. Like, you're here to add value to my life, I'm here to add value to yours. You start becoming a pain in the ass to me, I'm just gonna cut you off. That's it. And it's when we age and we get older as men and women, I find, I don't know about you guys, but I find we become less tolerant of bullshit. I know for me, much less tolerant of bullshit in my life than I was in the past. Oh, but just tolerate bad behavior from someone because, oh, they're my friend. They're my girlfriend or whatever. You don't need to tolerate that. The quality of life that you have is based on the standards that you set for yourself and the standards you set for people around you. Family, your friends, the people you work with. If you have high standards for yourself and you're able to set strong boundaries, that's going to dictate the quality of life that you live. I live a much healthier life and less toxic life, especially with the people around me, because I'm able to set healthy boundaries because I'm comfortable of saying, no, I do not accept that. You continue that behavior, you can go sit over there. No, the door is right there. I don't accept that. But also at the same time, if I'm setting certain boundaries for other people, I need to abide by those same boundaries that I set too. So if I set certain boundaries for a friend or family member or whatever, I have certain standards of them and expectations. I need to live up to those expectations too, because it applies to me too. Because whatever boundaries, expectations, it's on me, because I'm the one that set it. So how are we able to move past that? Once we have set those expectations on someone, you're not living by those expectations, and then they're gone for whatever reason. It starts with valuing yourself first. So if you're someone that's easily crippled by broken friendships, broken relationships, and you can't move past it, and you're just living a lonely, miserable, you're living like you feel like you're a shell of yourself, of what you possibly could be. Well, how can you move on and get better? If you feel like that, it probably tells me you're not valuing yourself enough. You need to care about you first. You're the most important person. You need to care about you. Because if you're tolerating bad behavior in your life, if you're tolerating behavior from other people that stress you out, that bother you, and that you're not okay with, but you're not comfortable telling them no, that's a problem inside of you that you need to work on. Because you're not valuing, you don't care, and you're not loving yourself enough. Because someone who loves themselves is going to be okay with setting boundaries. And be okay with cutting people off, and it's okay to move on and move past it. Because maybe you feel like you've lost a friendship, lost a relationship, and you've lost a part of yourself. That's a problem. Because you feel like that person was filling an empty void inside you. That's a big problem. Because once that person's gone, you feel like you can't live your life anymore. That's an enormous problem. That's an issue inside of you that you need to work on. Because nobody sets you free. Nobody makes you happy. Nobody fills that void except for you, and you have to be comfortable of telling someone, no, I'm not okay with that. And no matter how long you've known the person, even if you've known them since you were kids, you've known them how long, for whatever reason, you're willing to help them through difficult situations, difficult time, if they're going through a difficult time. But if it comes to the point where they're becoming such a burden in your own life, and they're really crossing your boundaries over and over again, you've told them, these are my boundaries, these are set, and they keep crossing it. Sorry, I gotta cut you loose. You gotta think of your life as you're an employer. You're the employer, you're the boss of your own life. People are coming in, they're your employees. You need to go through an interview process before you let them into your life. They pass that interview process, fine. But once you get hired for a job, once you get hired to work at a certain company, you got rules, you got expectations to follow, you got procedures to follow. You don't show up on time, you act unprofessional, you're not doing a job, what happens? You get fired. And the same thing in a relationship and a friendship as well. Everyone across the board has to decide what their boundaries, what their laws, what their principles, what their codes are. You decide. And if you've warned someone over and over again, you gave them a warning, you gave them a second warning, okay, now I gotta fire you. I'm sorry, because the most important person is me. And not in this world to make people who are unable to be happy, happy. People that are committed to victimhood, people that are committed to misery, you can't make them happy. You can't fulfill them. No matter how hard you try, it's exhausting and it'll drain your energy. And it's not your responsibility to do that. It's theirs. It's not my responsibility to make someone else happy. I'm not going to put my happiness on other people. That's my job, to build my life and make my life awesome. And I will never put that on somebody else. Never. So what's the best way to move on from it? Start working on yourself and start developing yourself, and stop and detach yourself from whatever broken friendship or broken relationship you once had. Detach yourself from that. Grow an identity, grow emotional strength, grow a sense of emotional care for yourself, and then move on from there. And have expectations, and realize someone's not going to save you. Superman, Wonder Woman's not going to come in and make your life awesome. Swoop you off your feet and make you feel great and soothe your childhood wounds or emotional wounds or whatever. Nobody's going to do that except for you. And on that note, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, you can like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Logan Ryder, Timeless Personal Growth and Development, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a great day.